Welcome back everybody to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage YouTube channel. You are looking at the BT motor that has been taken off of its bracket mounting for my Singer 99K. And I thought I would show all of you my approach to commutator cleaning. Now, obviously always have your machine unplugged. Don't get your plug anywhere near this. You don't need to do that. The BT motor is interesting because it has, like other motors, such as the motors in your slant-o-matic machines, there are two caps that let you access the brushes for the motor. So we're going to loosen their screws. Okay, remember these are Bakelite plastic. They're well made, but be gentle, don't be rough. And I'm loosening it. Now you'll notice that there is a metal, looks like a little metal pipe. This is actually the thing that holds the felt wick that you put grease on. You've seen me do this kind of work in other videos before. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to remove, you want to loosen the connecting bolt here. And even when you think it's turning, but you want to keep loosening it. And the reason is you want it to actually come out a bit, because you want to come up, and you can't just come straight out because the little I call it the little grease wick chimney there. That's not Sager's name for it. And you want to be able to get the cap out, which I have. Doing a few things here. The first thing I'm doing is, again, looking for my commutator and also checking my brush. Now, I've shown in other videos before how to remove the brush holder, these wonderful brass brush holders. Can't say that really fast. Now, normally what you would do is you would simply, I have taken these out in some of the slant-o-matic motors before. And there's a little tension, a lovely tension, sort of a little valley-shaped tension, we'll call it a tension spring for lack of a better word. And it is holding this lovely brass brush holder in place. And of course, then the cap comes down on top of it and keeps it all snug where it needs to be. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to inspect my brush, but in this case, I have a very, very small and narrow-edged screwdriver. What am I doing? I'm not trying to touch the brush with it. I want to get the very outer edge of this brass holder for the brush and simply move it. I'm going to slide it. It's under tension right under this little piece right here. Maybe get a little, maybe that will help. Yes. And then what I'm doing is I'm simply going to, I'm not taking it all the way out. I can, but by the way, if you do this, if you take your brush holder all the way out, and you may need to if your brushes are too worn and you need to replace them, but you want to be careful and make sure you grab a hold of the brush as well when you're pulling it out. If you don't, your brush holder will come out, but the actual motor brush itself, or the remnants of yours, will fall down into the motor. So to avoid that and having to take things apart and try to shake it out, we don't want to do that. Notice what I'm doing here. I'm simply, see if I can lower this just a bit for you. What I'm trying to accomplish is to see if I can gauge just how much brush length I have left. And I've mentioned to you all in prior videos that motor brushes don't wear out really quickly. They can take a long time. And what am I doing here? I'm looking to see how much brush do I have. Be careful, these brushes are soft. You don't want to tear them up. Right now, I have more than 1/4 inch. And sometimes if the slit here on the brush holder is wide enough, you can actually shine a really extra bright flashlight and try to tell, but this is a little too narrow for me to tell. So I'm simply just one more, and you have to be careful because you'll run out of brush and it'll fall out. Behind the brush, of course, is a spring. Now, I have, gosh, what is that? That might even be 3/8. That's plenty of brush. So I already know at this point, I'm not going to need to replace the brush. So I'm going to keep, like I say, keep it snug under this little tension I call it more of like it's not really a spring, more like a tension clip. And then you can simply push back down on the brass brush holder. So what else are we going to do? The next thing is I'm going to take, and this is where I think I mentioned you all earlier, another video, I normally use just run-of-the-mill cotton swabs. It can be Q-tip brand, the big national brand, or just even generic cotton swabs for all kinds of different cleaning. However, you can use all of the time, or especially if you're in any part of a machine, including the motor, you don't want to get shredded cotton in your in the way. So these are, again, I've introduced these in tool videos before. It's called Precision Tip, and it is a special variety. I'm gonna have to pull my camera out. I can't get enough. There we go. They're called Precision Tips. They cost more money. You don't get as many per box, but the cotton is installed on the tip. It just seems to be a higher quality, and it's more pointed, more narrow, thus the name Precision Tip. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you my approach. Now, other people, restorers, have their own methods for this. When I first got into this hobby, I would get access to the commutator, and I would sand it to try to get it nice and shiny like a copper penny. The problem with that is, even when you're careful, you're going to reduce the life of the commutator. Commutators last a long time, but if you use them often enough, the copper, there's like a ring of copper, and it's this wonderful ring on the motor shaft here, that is eventually going to wear down, and then you have to replace the motor or the commutator itself. So some people like to sand theirs. I take a lighter approach. Keep in mind that when these machines were new, the commutator was bright, shiny copper. Brushes are designed, as they get worn, and this happens slowly over time. You end up with sort of it looks like a soot, like just it starts to blacken the commutator a bit. And what I want to do here is I want to show you my approach. I'm going to clean the commutator. Again, I've taken my Precision Tip cotton swab. Again, this is the Q-tip brand, and I'm going to dip it. Again, I'm not trying to slather on alcohol here. I'm dipping it so that it absorbs, and I'll just do both ends. Absorbs the alcohol. I don't want it dripping, right? We're not trying to drown this motor. We just want it wet, okay? So I'm going to take it, and I'm going to, on the other side, where my left fingers are, is the pulley for the belt. And the easiest way to do this, so that your swab doesn't get jammed up under your brush, I'm going to hold it just sort of like at an angle, maybe 45 degrees or something like that, and just putting light pressure. You're not squeezing it or anything. And I'm going to turn my pulley. You don't have to go fast. And what am I doing? What I'm doing is I'm picking up, you can see this, I am picking up some of that carbon dust. Now, obviously, these machines can run with carbon dust on them. They did, for all of them do. They were engineered knowing that this carbon dust would build up. What can happen over many, many decades is you can get enough of the carbon built up where you essentially, the motor doesn't give you as much power. It might run a little more slowly. It's still going to run, but you're basically asking it to work harder because it's trying to transmit electricity through that little film. So again, you can see I've gotten some on this end of the cotton swab, sort of a black, looks like charcoal. And then I'm going to take my clean side and just keep doing it. Now, there are people who have made some great videos. They have literally gotten access to the whole commutator. They will use sandpaper on the commutator, and they will even take, you can see I'm still pulling off some of the some of the black. You might ask yourself, you might be asking right now, well, hey, how do I know how much to do this? How clean is clean? This is something we're going to guesstimate. It is not exact, okay? So I'm dipping another clean Q-tip, and so I'm going to put it in, and again, just turning it gently. You don't need a ton of pressure, right? Just enough to have it rub up against the cotton. I like these precision tips because they are, again, a little bit more robust compared to cheap. If you use cheap cotton swabs, you could end up with shredding cotton getting down in your motor, and you don't want that. Okay, so again, I'm still pulling up some. Now, am I going to do this until the cotton swab just stays white? Probably not. Now, one of the things that you can also see, and there's some great videos of people doing this, you can see I'm still getting some on the end there, is what they will do. Let's give you an even better zoom here so I can try to highlight something on the commutator. I've got the flashlight on my head, that's why it looks like keeps moving around. So in the commutator there are grooves, right? And this carbon will build up in the grooves. Now some people, when they're doing their sanding, they'll also go in and they'll try to get the carbon out of the grooves. You can do that, but the best way to do that is not here, because I don't want to start pulling carbon out of the grooves and having it fall down into the motor. It's just not necessary. Now, my experience with these machines is that if it's a really old machine, and this one didn't even have that much, to be honest, it didn't have that much buildup of carbon dust. I'm going to do one more cotton swab here, and then I think we'll call it a day. So, what does that mean? You might think, well, hey, you didn't pull the carbon out of those little slits in the commutator. Is that bad? You know, there's an expression that says perfect is the enemy of good enough. And it's not because I don't believe in being thorough. Believe me, I I restore and overhaul areas of the machine that are probably not absolutely necessary, but I just like to be thorough. And any of you who've seen my videos over the years know that. However, there is something, another expression says the juice isn't worth the squeeze, meaning you can spend hours taking this apart. You can go in and you can go in and you can start trying to pull out this carbon matter in those gaps. Is it going to make much of a difference in your machine's performance? Maybe a tad bit, but not enough to my mind. My goal here is to remove no copper. I want that copper to stay there. I want it to do its thing. And it doesn't need to be ground down or poked at for the sole purpose of getting the very last carbon off, because in order to do that, we're going to lose copper. And the copper, you may even have a commutator. I don't know if you can see right now, but it might, if I can get that really intense light, hopefully you can see the copper. When I turn this, you'll see, you can see the copper there. It's under a pretty bright light now. And again, there is some carbon, not a ton. There's a little bit of carbon in those grooves. You know what? It's not going to harm anything. And if I start digging it, I might actually, don't forget copper is very soft, and I do not want little crumbs or flecks of copper flying around in that motor. I really don't. So this is an example of, many of these motors never even get this clean, and they run fine. So if you want to clean the commutator, I believe less is more here. You don't hear me say that often, but again, I know there are people who believe in, they'll sand them, and they'll even use 2 different grits of sand. They'll get it nice and polished. And if you're very careful, you can get it down to like a shiny copper penny and only remove some of the copper. If you don't have a really delicate hand, you will remove too much. And honestly, the best way to not remove any copper at all is to do what I just showed you with the cotton swabs, the 99%, 97%, I think, isopropyl alcohol. And that's it. That's all we need to do there. So in the next video, I will show you, I'll be taking out this. I've done videos on this before. We're going to remove this is for the lubrication or grease wick port. And it is there to hold a wick, which holds grease that feeds the bushing. There's a bushing here that the motor shaft spins on, and it's very possible that this thing may have left the factory and never gotten any new grease, or it might have. But we're going to take a look, and I'll again go through that and show you how that is done. There is actually what we want to do is take this out. We're going to put in a new wick, get some new grease on it, and then we will have basically cleaned and lubricated the only part of this motor that really needs lubrication, and that is this area right here. By the way, most sewing machine motors do not, I repeat, do not require grease. Do not try to put grease in most of your motors. The Singer company had certain motor designs that they wanted to last, and they actually had Singer grease that they would use for that. Okay, later designs in sewing motors would have maybe 1 drop of sewing machine oil for the bushing, but again, be very, very slow and careful when you're even thinking about lubricating a motor. First of all, you have to understand the motor. You know, again, do not assume that grease belongs in every motor. Most sewing machine motors do not take grease. The motors on the rotary whites, those wonderful White and Kenmore machines from the 1930s and 40s, they had, and you've seen my videos on those, they had grease ports, and they're even easier to service than this one. If anything could be easier than a Singer. And that says a lot. So again, next video, I'll show you this process again, how we remove this carefully, take out the old wick, put in the new. And again, my approach to motor maintenance, when you have a motor that's in great shape, you know, I've actually, I was talking about in my last video, I cleaned up the dust here, and all of my wires look fantastic, which makes me happy. And so, but in the next video, I will, like I said, I will demonstrate for you how to address this issue with grease. Eventually, the Singer motors, they would get rid of these little ports, and you know, you had to come up with another solution. But many of these, when you see this port, that's a good sign. But again, this is something that my approach to commutator cleaning is a light touch. We'll get most of the surface carbon off, and the motor will be fine. In fact, the motor would have been fine anyway. This will help it, give it much, you know, longer life, more power. But I just, like I said, in my early times of restoring, I remember doing some of the sanding and trying to get that commutator perfectly shiny. And I just think it's not worth the loss of the copper, to be honest. I would rather have a motor capable of going a lot longer with its copper intact. Anyway, thank you all who had an interest in what for some people might be quite a boring topic. But for me, it's not. It's part of what I do when I'm overhauling these machines, just to look at them. So, you know, you want to know, because if your brushes are worn, and typically brushes are normally replaced in pairs. So again, if the brush is going to have to be replaced, I've got videos already on that. We don't need a replacement here. I get the feeling this machine did get some use in its life, but not a ton. So I appreciate all of you watching, and we will see you in the next video installment.